Hello, hello, everybody. Going live for Tuesday Talks. And today we have an amazing guest once again, and with the name of Manipar. Let's see if we can just get Manipar online now. So Manipar is an amazing coach and also helping all the women there be an amazing person that they are and be unapologetically themselves as well. So we're gonna hear more about that as well and see what motivates and what keeps Manipar keep going and what makes her tick now. So we're gonna find out more in terms of her journey, her entrepreneurial journey. Thank you very much for joining Tuesday Talks. I've done a short introduction about you already, but you're the best person to do the introduction as a true Tuesday Talk style. I pass you the mic, so introduce yourself, who you are, and also what you're doing and why you are doing it.
Yes, well, thank you for having me today. I was really excited. I'm actually a woman empowerment coach, and well, the reason I do women empowerment coach because of coming from a cultural background, being an Indian woman with, I would say, a lot of restrictions, and then with a lot of limiting beliefs that we hold, that I was holding while I was growing up, that it was very difficult for me to get out of that limiting belief, for me to accept me for who I wanted to be. It was so difficult, but um, I felt like for me to accept who I was the biggest step I was able to make. And this is the main reason I want to help so many women out there with cultural background. It doesn't have to be Indian. Like a lot of different culture, we kind of, us women, we have like the similar limiting beliefs. So yeah, I just want to help them, to empower them to be themselves.
Amazing, amazing. So that's actually very, very interesting to see. That the start point of having that restrictions, and so you broke free from those restrictions and limiting beliefs. You overcome them. That'd be an interesting journey as well to hear about. Is that something you can share or touch upon?
Well, yes. For me, when I was like growing up, I was pretty much prepping myself to be the traditional Indian woman that I was supposed to be. And to be honest, there was nothing wrong with it at that time to me. And I still believe there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way I was like seeing it through my eyes. I was like, I have to be a good Indian woman, do everything my parents want, do not disappoint my parents, um, pretty much follow what I was supposed to follow, which it was never verbally spoken of, but it was just something that it's an unspoken tradition we just have to follow. Like it's something like you don't talk about it. It's like you should know as a woman, this is what you're supposed to do. Um, just follow what your parents says. You cannot be going out. And even though my parents were like, I mean, they're not that restrictive, but they were restrictive enough where I was not able to explore myself. So I just became the perfect Indian woman, to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, a lot of kids, I don't know if they're like my parents' like friends and family's kids. I don't know if they liked me because their parents would compare it to me, like, yeah, you should be like Money, okay? This is what you should be doing, You see what she does? She knows how to cook. You don't know how to cook. And I was like, I already learned how to cook when I was like probably in ninth grade, and I would cook for my parents when they never told me to do it, but this is what I thought I was supposed to do. So I was doing all that, and it was like I was like, oh, I'm gonna get married to a perfect Indian boy, be the perfect Indian wife, cook for my husband when he comes home, clean. Oh my God, it was this dream I had in my head that I was going to do. But everything changed when I was in a relationship, and um I'm glad I was in that relationship. Because of that relationship, I was able to truly understand what I really wanted. Because being in that relationship, I understood like, well, I'm doing all this that I said I was going to do, and how come I don't feel happy? Like there's something missing in my life. Like I felt incomplete, even though I completed what I wanted, but I felt incomplete. And that's when I was going to nursing school, and then I met my husband at that time, which he's not Indian, by the way. So when I met him, like he would ask me the most simplest questions, and it was so irritating at first, so freaking irritating. Like, he was like, who's number one in your life? I'm like, I don't know, my mom, my dad, my brother, my grandma. He's like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'm like, yeah, I told you, that's what you do. That's what we do in our culture, right? We don't put ourselves first. He's like, yeah, but you forgot yourself. I'm like, isn't that already given? Do I have to say it? I'm like, he's like, yes, you have to say you're number one. Because when you are number one, when you prioritize yourself, then automatically you will be able to prioritize, every all your other relationships in your life. And I used to hate the conversation I used to have with my husband. Like, he was my friend at that time, and he was treating me really well. As a friend, he was treating me really good. And I was like, how come the relationship I'm with, like, he's treating me differently than this guy? And he's just my friend, you know? And long story short, of course, I fell for my husband, I mean, friend at that time, and I did not know how to comprehend that information because he was not Indian. So I was stuck in between, like, how am I going to tell this to my parents? And there was like about I think 2 years, I went back and forth with the idea of like marrying my husband because I can't do this because I'm going to disappoint my parents. My parents are going to hate me. They're like all my family, friends, and relationship. Like, what am I going to tell them? I married a guy that's not Indian. Like, I felt, like, what do you say? Like, I felt like I had no value. Like I felt like I had to get everybody's approval for this to happen. Like a blessing, you call it the blessing. I felt like I wasn't gonna get anybody's blessing. And so I finally told my mom, my dad, and of course they did not approve of it. Shocking, right? But um I was I think I came to the point where I was like, I'm doing everything my parents want, and I've done my part, and now I need to take care of myself. In order for me to take care of myself, is stop expecting things from other people for me. Only I have that for me. Like, so I don't, I mean, as I got older, I feel like I understand my parents' point of view because, they grow up with the different upbringings. So I can't just one day walk into their life. I mean, I'm pretty sure whatever I was dreaming, they were probably dreaming the same thing of me too. So I can't just walk one day out of nowhere, but I'm gonna marry this guy and he's not Indian and we're not gonna have the Indian traditional wedding. So, and I know my parents was, I know they were heartbroken, but I had to accept the fact my parents was not going to accept the relationships around me were not going to accept it. So I accepted it and I stood up for myself, and I was all alone, no family, no friends, and I just went and got married to my husband. And just making that stand for myself made me realize like how much power I have. Like so many things like I can do but I put myself in a box of this Indian woman that this, like the shoulds, right? Should be doing this. I put myself in that box. But once I got out of it, it felt free. I felt like a whole different person. And it was like 10 years ago this story happened. And it was just, as I was going through it, I was all by myself. And after 2 years, I spoke to my parents. My parents did not talk to me for 2 years. So I finally realized I might just have to go knock on the door and just say, hey, I want to talk to you guys. You guys have no option but to talk to me. So I went over there and I forced them to talk to me. So then my brother, he started talking to me. So it was like a pretty crazy experience, but I've learned a lot from that experience. And as I'm getting more older and I'm understanding more about relationships, and I think we I think I was playing too much of a victim role at that time as well. Like, oh my God, like I'm such a sad, like, a Cinderella, like I'm a victim, I can't do this, I can't do all that. But I think I got myself out of the victim role and then finally took in charge of my life. Like I think I'm going through, as I'm reading and I'm researching more about like women with cultural background. A lot of us, we just complain about our parents. What can we do if our parents think like that? What can you do now? Are you gonna sit there and just complain your whole life, or are you actually gonna do something about it? Because that's one thing when I learned at that time. Go? Am I gonna be happy living the life my parents want me to? Or I want to do something different. Either way, or both has consequences. So, which consequences do you want to live with, pretty much? And yeah, I was really happy with my decision, and that's what happened.
Oh wow! Thank you very much for sharing this, and I like the way how you said at the end is there is consequences. You just need to decide which consequences you would like to go for, right?
Yeah.
One choice would be a victim mindset, okay, and you play along. I mean, and there are so many out there who still play along and do what other people would like to. The parents, for example, would the family, and I can totally relate coming from an Asian background as well. Is the reputation of the family that everybody's worried about, and so many things. They just hangs on the children for no reason, and the children are like, why us? Like it's like you're fulfilling their dreams now that they couldn't fulfill, and now it's been handed down to you now. Right, you need to finish this now. It was like, but we're in a different culture now, a different world now. Especially if your parents have moved abroad and they now bring you up in abroad, and you're growing up in a different culture, which is not if you I understand people growing up back home have everything. You're surrounded by that thing, so you don't question it a lot because you are surrounded by it, because wherever you look it's more or less the same thing happening, so you do not question it, you just go along with it. Everything you think it stays what it is. But then when you're growing abroad, you're out of that culture, it's not around you, and that culture again, it's not a cultural thing as well. It's just a tradition that somebody sometime somewhere started it, and then people were like, oh yeah, this, and we should just do it, and it's been handed down, passed on, and it became a tradition and a culture, and now people live by it and die by it, and all those things, right? And I mean, it's an amazing that you've obviously then you found your strength to overcome it and break yourself away from that as well. So a question comes along, it would be the mindset that you had to go through, and obviously your parents not speaking to you for 2 years. That's another huge thing to go through. Your parents been there for a whole life, you've been speaking back and forth, and then 2 years silence. It's a huge thing. So what the mindset that you had to obviously go through, what was that mindset that kept you going? And obviously we are here today because of that mindset.
Well, to be honest, it was difficult. I was really heartbroken. I used to cry a lot. My mom used to talk to me only through phone, and we would meet once in a while. But like I was really close to my dad, so I was like, I was daddy's girl. So I think I was really heartbroken knowing the fact like he did this to me. So and even my brother too, but having a brother, like I was like my brother was doing how like a lot of stupid things as well, but he always got away with it. Like he went and got married one day. He got up and he got married too, which my parents didn't stay. He actually moved in and with his wife and they were fine. And I was just like going through all of this in my head. I was like, ah, I don't know. I think that I just decided to go through, like, you just have to go through it. Like, I can say a lot of good things, like, about mindset. You need to do this, you need to do that. But at the end of the day, to be honest, you have to go through that pain. You have to feel it. Like, you have to be aware, okay, this is what's happening to me. What is my next step? At the end of the day, you're gonna come back to what is your next step now? And I always, I was always used to think in my head, so if I followed what my parents said to do, would I have been happy? And I always go back to if I was on my deathbed right now, can I say to myself that I actually did what I wanted to do without blaming anyone? Not blaming my parents, the society, the culture. Can I truly say that? And I felt like when I'm dying, I don't want to be complaining about my parents. I don't want to be complaining all the things I did not do in my life. So I have to do what I want to do, and I want to experience what I want to experience. And the only way to do that is for me to be who I want to be with with the mindset of like you're just gonna have to accept it, accept this, like wholeheartedly accept all the negative things, all the bad things, all the things your parents don't accept it, because no matter what you say or do, it's not gonna change their mind. Because I think before those before that 2 years that I was still trying to decide if I was gonna marry this guy, I was trying to see if there's a way, like um a way I could fix my parents, you know, and or a way where I can, I don't know, like when you watch those Indian movies, they have these like one of those like what do you call this? Those the speeches at the end. It's like, oh, everybody's like starts clapping. Yes, I'm like, can I do something like that?
So one of those motivational speech.
Yeah, I was going through all these scenarios in my head, like, can I change my parents? Can I do something like this? But to be honest, sometimes you don't have control over other people. If I can tell you I don't have control over you, why do we feel like we have control over our parents? If we're saying our parents can't control us, why do we want to control our parents too? We're kind of doing the same thing, you know? I mean, even though, yeah, our parents should be like all modernized right now, but if they don't want to, they don't have to. Like, why do we have to put that on our parents? Like, like I think that's where a lot of the mindset happens, is because we're trying to change our parents. We can't change them unless they want to. You know, you can try your best, and if they don't want to change, they don't want to change. Like my parents right now, they had no option but to accept it, and they didn't like my husband in the beginning, but as you give time to them to process the concept of marrying a different culture. Like it's synced in. Like it's been 10 years and they freaking love my husband now. Like there's no way I can say anything bad about my husband to them. Like I tell my mom, like, oh yeah, my husband, like, I'm like, he doesn't do this. She's like, don't talk about my son-in-law like that. Don't do that. Like I call all over India and everybody are like, oh, we hear so much about your husband. Like, does he know how to cook? Oh, does he clean too? I'm like, yes, he does all that. And then they're like, wow, you're so lucky, Money. The men over here, Indian men, they don't do nothing. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I heard in the beginning. Now, like my mom, like loves like, cause my husband, like he's born and raised here, and he's like he cooks and he cleans and he does all that. And when you tell that to the families in India, they're like, oh my God, he does all that? Wow, you're so lucky, Money. And before it was like a whole different thing, like, oh, you're a disgrace. Oh my God, all that. But now it's like I'm a very lucky person now. So yeah.
It's an amazing story, and it also shows how people well, in a way adapt, or they are always like against the idea in the beginning anyway. They're like, oh, that's not going to work. I'm going to use the example of Elon Musk, for example, when he was bringing out Teslas, and I remember because I follow him since beginning. So electric cars, those, they're not going to work. They're not going to work. They're going to be running out of battery power. Who's going to be charging them every time to do. And now you look around, everybody's running to get a Tesla, right? So and everybody's like, yeah, that's the next best thing. They're the future. You need this. So that's what's happening, and that's what exactly has happened to you, right? Before it was it's not a good thing what you've done. And now, okay, that was the best thing you've done it. Why we didn't see it before. It's the transition that people have to go through. And as you said, they have to, make a change themselves. You cannot force them to change it, because they come from something, they grew up with their mindset, their belief system, and they have to follow it. For them to now change that is not going to happen suddenly, because for something that you were doing, you have gone through for a while, right? At least, let's say, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, it has cultivated that for you to now think of a person outside of your boundaries that you've been given, for example, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. But that didn't happen straight away for you as well, right? It kind of progressed from something that started somewhere, right? We don't know what that would be. It could be anything. But then that has to happen with the parents or family members or anybody who needs to now understand what you're trying to do, because now and people everywhere accepting, okay, we just suddenly will do this, and people will understand what we've done. If that's not the case, right? And it takes time. In your case, obviously, it took time, and now the whole India knows about it. There's nobody else better than your husband now. So
Yep.
it's quite so since the transition that's happened now, and the mindset you were in the previously, where you were actually pushing through and going through it, you're accepting it and you're looking to see what can be done in the bestest manner to progress through, right? So that's a learning mindset and not being a victim, because the victim mindset is always right. Oh, why is it happening to me? The whole world is against me. Your shoulders are like full of everyone's worry, and anything you hear, they're talking about me and all that stuff. I know a few people like that, so I actually understand 100% what that is. And the learning mindset is to, okay, you accept what it is because it's happened now. You can't do anything to change it. What can we now do so that I can benefit from what's happened now, or make it work to move on to the future and this thing. So once you've moved on to now, obviously it's 10 years now, what's the mindset now in terms of, like, everybody loves your husband now, so it's a bit like everybody loves Raymond then, is
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the mindset now is I'm actually more of a confident person. For me to be even on this live show with you is actually pretty pretty interesting for me because I used to be a very quiet person. I used to be scared of saying what I want to say because I was still scared of like, am I saying something wrong? Is it going to be accepted by others? Like even though I got married to my husband, I was still carrying that still the limiting beliefs, the values still with me about myself. Like I don't know if I should be like because my life was whole turned upside down. I didn't know how to act. So I was supposed to be an Indian woman and cook. So when I got married to my husband, I was really confused. I didn't know what the heck to do because am I supposed to cook? You know, and what am I supposed to do? Because if I was married into an Indian family, I know exactly what to do from A to Z. I got it. I know I'm not supposed to talk to my, I know what to do. But then when I married my husband, I was like, you know, my in-laws are like, yeah, just do whatever you want to do, cook whatever you want, yeah, do whatever you want. So I was like, so I just get up in the morning whenever I want, you know? So it was like a hard that freedom that I got, it was hard for me to accept it. And the freedom of having my voice was kind of hard for me to accept it. So as I started kind of experimenting, I think ever since I started doing my online business, and say, I would say last year was kind of pretty much I broke free and kind of understood like, you know, I have something to share with people. And then when I kind of became more open on social media, talking to everyone, it made me realize like I I could make a difference in people's life and became more confident. I stopped worrying about how I talk, you know, like sometimes I have a very soft voice. So I felt like I had to be very loud for people to hear me. And I you know all these imperfection things in my head, but now I feel you know I feel confident, I feel good, and an incident that also happened last year because of COVID with one of my family member, it made me realize again, it made me realize again that, you know, I need to do something about my life. I felt that incomplete feeling again, like something was missing again. So I thought I wanted to do something with my life, and I started my online business and stand up on my feet. And you know, whenever I talk to my mom or my dad, it's good. Like I love my parents. You know, I'm thankful to them for everything they've done for me, and it's just to be honest, I'm still processing. It's been 10 years already, but I still have to I'm still processing all that information still because it's a lot, you know. Having freedom comes with responsibility. So, you know, so I have to be I'm still mindful of how like what I say, you know, because um yeah, that's probably still gonna linger on still, like, you know, still being mindful about what I say. Like I still have a little bit of that feeling, but I think it's just I think it's a progress you're gonna always have to deal with. This is something I'm always gonna be dealing with. You're gonna have something to you're gonna be always working on yourself. And yeah, I'm more confident person now, and I love sharing what I want, and I can easily tell like when I talk to people, I can easily tell like my parents, my family, everyone, like they're kind of my parents are kind of scared to give me their word. Like they're like, yeah, we can't say give our word to money because once you say we're gonna do something, she expects it exactly that way. So I'm like, not really, but yeah, I do sometimes. You know, I kind of give my parents a hard time. So like I have a respect of my parents now as well. Like as time went by, like my parents respect me, and then they're always like, Money, you know, we're so happy. Like you made your own decisions and you're happy. You know, you never give us any issues. And hearing that from my parents, I feel really good. Like I must be doing something right, you know? Yeah.
That's definitely true. Obviously, if your parents are saying that to you, you're definitely doing something correct there, and it's 100%. And I love the fact that you shared also that it's a learning in progress, right? So, because you've been taught something since you were a child, so and that's good 20-30 years, for example, that you were taught this is it, this is what we do, this is the culture, and this is it. And now obviously you've chosen to go into a different culture for say, and now you're like, oh, what do I do, what is this, it's a bit like, so I always compare it to saying, because I'm in London, we drive on the, as people say, on the wrong side of the road, and then everybody else is driving on the other side. So it's a bit of a culture shock, because I love driving. So anywhere I do travel, I always hire a car and I drive it myself. Yeah, culture shock in terms of now I'm driving on the other side. I'm always learning, because I'm always looking at the road in way of where do I need to turn? Is this the correct way to turn? Do I need to slow down here? Can I beep my horn in this place? What restrictions are there? And understanding the speed limits, and because we're counting in miles and everybody is counting in kilometers, so so it's a way I'm obviously trying to bring it down into a way of, it's always you'll be doing something that you have to work on yourself. There will be always something that would need that attention, and I can relate with you 100% on the quiet side of Ness. I grew up very, very shy, to the point that I was so shy that I could not go into a shop and buy something, because I would not want to speak to the shopkeeper there. So I cannot go to the shop. So my dad will give me the money, like, go buy this. I'm like, I can't. Can I just take a friend? And then I'm like, can you just buy it, man? So so the experience is not there. To the point now, I still do not like grocery shopping. I'm married with a kid and everything. I still do not like going to grocery shopping. So I'll be like to my missus, do you need anything from grocery? She'll give me a list. I'm like, no, you go. I'm not going. So I think it's something is there, right? I can do anything else. You can take me to a high street stores, clothes shopping and everything. I can spend hours with everybody and all stuff. When it comes to grocery shopping, because I think I have that I was since a kid. I can do myself. I mean, I can just do it. But then if it comes to a choice and somebody is willing to do it, I'll say, yeah, you can go for it. And I can be like, because, so now I talk at this volume now here. There used to be a point that I used to think I need to talk very loud for people to actually hear me, because every time I'll be talking, people be like, what? Excuse me? Say again? And they're like, what? And it came to a point that I hated repeating myself. I'm like, why am I repeating myself every time? So I can relate on that, not exactly 100% how that is. It's very frustrating. I still work upon that myself. Sometimes some places I'm very loud, just because now that has become the normal me. I'm like it's either very loud or very quiet. There's no mid-tone for me. And so that's the thing I have to work on myself. And every time when I'm conscious of like, oh, find that mid-tone, suddenly the room's quiet, go low, so that thing, whereas people automatically, I see people around me just doing those things automatically. So with you, when you're now progressing and you're now helping other women do this and come out of to the other side, it's a bit more like you're there to help them cross that bridge. They're looking across, they say, oh wow, there's so many nice things over there, I should be doing this. And you're like, you can, you're right, come on, hold my hand and I'll help you cross over, and I'll show you how can this be done. And obviously it's not an easy path and different for everybody else, individuality and everything, right? So in fairness, it would be, what would an ideal scenario would look like for example, if you would want to share for a person who is watching this and they think, okay, I want money to guide me through this. What would that a scenario would look like?
Well, I like to do like a one-on-one support for them. And of course, it's always, like you mentioned, individualized. But I like to go through, which I've created a framework for myself, which is called, I call it R, because we start with awakening, because you need to be more, you need to know what's happening around you. You need to understand your surroundings, understand the people around you, how they act, how do you behave. And then from there, once you start being awake, pretty much, then I take them to the process of reconnecting with themselves. Because you have to know who you are. Just because you live in this world does not mean you know who you are. And I'm the prime example. So I teach them to reconnect with themselves, understand who you are, what your potential is, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. And then after you start reconnecting with yourself, then we go in the process of evolving. You evolve yourself as a person. What are the steps you're going to take to keep yourself being like that type of person? So how are you going to commit to yourself? That's the process we take. And then obviously we do once a weekly call, but I'm also working with a personal development coach, which that person wants to do a personal development coaching as well for that, because there's a lot of personal development evolving, because there's different issues you might be having as well. It's not just probably the culture. You might be having issues with relationships, your career. So that personal development coach wants to hop in and help the women. So you guys are technically having two coaches. So my experience and the other person's experience as well. So that's what we do, and it's a 8-week course, and it's just to be honest, this 8 weeks is probably not, it's not going to be enough. Like any program you take out there, it's never gonna like guarantee that you're gonna be a whole different person. At the end of the day, you have to take actions for yourself, like I was taking, and definitely getting out of your comfort zone. That's the hard part, to be honest. I feel like getting out of your comfort zone is one of the hardest part to do. So if you can get out of your comfort zone, start exploring yourself, I think that's when the process becomes easier. But if you're still going to be holding back on doing certain things, it's going to be difficult. Yeah. So you have to still be in charge of you still have to be in charge of your actions. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to share with whatever you need to do, but you still are the person in charge. Because, I personally can't really do everything for them, I want to, I wish I can, but you're gonna have to do a lot of work. But it gets easier, once you start making those little changes and you see like, wow, I actually did that, that's when the encouragement starts happening. Like, I want to do more. I want to do more of this. So yeah.
That's actually great, and thank you for sharing this as well. In terms of that it's a journey anyway. So I was going to say that it's an 8-week journey for the person in regards to develop themselves and reconnect with themselves and become more aware of what they are doing, right? What their goals are and what they want to break free from. So that's what the 8-week journey would be, what I'm hearing, right? And obviously you have the personal development coach there who will step in and then take that boat a bit more further, take them a bit more further on their journey, which is amazing. I'm glad that you have chosen to do this and help millions and millions of women out there. I know for sure they need this, and they probably just need to voice and be watching this now. Or if somebody is watching this live now, I express that you should tag the person that you wish this to watch, and so they should be watching this, because this will be left on IGTV for later on, and it will be posted onto Spotify and Apple Podcast as well for later to be people for to hear it. And So once you've you had this everything going and everything is hunky dory for you now. I won't say that everything is amazing, obviously, because you're still like it's a life's a journey. You're still progressing. You're still learning every day. You know, what is the ultimate routine for you? Do you have an ultimate routine that you wake up early in the morning and you do yoga or something? What do you do? Is that a routine?
Well, I'm actually trying to still create a routine. I went through a lot of routines already myself. Um, um, I've done the gratitude journal. I've done journaling and then writing at night. I've tried to do meditation, but it was kind of difficult for me. So to be honest, I have a 4-year-old daughter. So sometimes I get really exhausted. So I try to wake up an hour earlier from her so I can do a little bit of journaling. I like journaling a lot. So when I get a chance, when I get time to, I like to do journaling. And before bedtime, I go on YouTube and listen to some law of attractions because I'm a very big fan of law of attraction. So I listen to something related to law of attraction, meditation, and I listen to that, put my headphones on, and I just fall asleep. And it's nothing pretty like fancy as of right now. I'm still trying to figure out what works for me. Because sometimes when I tried waking up 6 o'clock in the morning and I was so exhausted and it's really tiring, and then yelling and screaming at my daughter, it just drains out my energy sometimes. So I'm still working on the perfect routine for me right now. Yeah.
That's good to know, exactly. And what you're doing is more than what most of the people don't do, right? So journaling, for example, a lot of people don't do that at all. They just wake up and the first thing they do is pick up their phone and look at, who's been are there any messages for me, and who's posted on social media, for example, now, not check my notifications. And so journaling, I I used to love writing a lot, and over the time it has become less and less because of the technology. But now I do is I do YouTube videos, which is a private channel for myself. What that is, I look at myself because I've got the YouTube app where you can just press the button and it starts recording everything and then uploads it straight away. So I don't have to do any editing or anything like that because that's just raw. And that is my journaling, and I literally just do that, and that helps me to get out of the comfort zone as well, because I've just filmed myself talking, walking around the house or whatever that is, and just say what I'm feeling in the morning, or if I need to do gratitude, I'll just do the gratitude, just whatever the mood is. I just do that, so I'm not specifically also not thinking of, oh, I need to do this now. It's 8 a.m. I need to do this, and it's 9 a.m. I need to do this. Although I'm a big fan of scheduling stuff, the schedule stuff happens, which are important things, right? So, because I always say, what gets scheduled gets done. If you just put on a list, I'm not a fan of a list, because if it's on a list, you've already told yourself that, oh, it's not important. It's on the list. So whenever I get time, I'll just follow this list and I'll do whatever gets done for whatever time. But if it's a schedule, you've put a time to it, you have to finish it at that time. And after that, you pretty much, are late and things like that. So that's my kind of routine that I follow. And nighttime is the same, is to switch off. I have on my iPhone, I love the new update up there. Is bedtime, half an hour before that, it completely switches off my phone, like blocks it, and tells me, it's bedtime, start relaxing. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, switch off, and start doing whatever else I need to do, for example, right? But it's good to hear. But what was one of the motivational quotes that you would love to share with people that resonates with you most of the times? Let's say that, a one that stood by you, and you look at it every time, let's say, or now or then. Is there one?
Well, I don't have one. I have lot. Well, my journey started off with FLC, you know, where you and me met. So,
Oh yes.
um, definitely, I think Chabaria and Seb and all the amazing people in that group was pretty, pretty, like I love seeing everybody, especially seeing your page as well. And my journey started from FLC, and that's where I got out of my comfort zone, making lives. So I thank Chabaria and Seb for that. And then I have my program coach that helped me build this amazing program for all the women is Fabi. She's the one that helped me with all this. And then in her program, there was a mindset coach, Maru. I've also had a personal talk with her as well. So she helped me kind of deal with a lot of emotional stuff as well. So, and then, yeah, and I would say Lindsay is a new addition to it. It's just like seeing how she does things very authentically. I mean, she is a social media marketer, but then I like how she does everything very authentic. That she doesn't really follow any specific gurus and stuff. She does not have 10,000 followers, so I like that. So, and that's about it. I mean, those are the main coaches that have made a really impact in my life right now. Hopefully, I'm not missing out on anyone, but those were the ones that really kind of pushed me to do what I needed to do. And yeah.
So that's actually great to hear from you as well, and you know, thanks for sharing that as well. Yeah, our journeys started at FLC. That's how we know each other, and you know, thanks to Chivaria, Seb, the amazing coaches out there. You know, they are amazing at getting you to realize what your value is, what your worth is, and what you should be doing out there. And it's amazing for them to be doing what they're doing, right? What you just put the what they call it hammer on the nail is that even though we are learning and progressing, we are trying to do things, we still need that person, a coach or a mentor to guide us, right? And a lot of people, when they are trying to now do new things, they tend to not ask for help, not look for coaches or mentors that can help them and guide them and take them to the next level, because whatever you knew has just got you to the point you are at now. If you knew more, you would have been further ahead and a bit more, whatever you were doing, have been successful a bit more at that stuff. You know, I always use examples of sports athletes and things like that, because even though they're the best of the best athletes out there, they still need that coach to guide them to do what to do next and move forward, right? And hence, we should be looking out for mentors and coaches. The person that resonates is the person you need to reach out to. And I love the fact that you touched upon that person that you are connecting with does not have 10,000 followers. That's amazing, right? We do not need a person who has that 10,000, you know, have that amazing following, because that might not be important to you, because that does not justify whatever they're teaching, right? As long as they are authentic to you and you know, you are able to connect to them, you just reach out and ask for that help that you need, because obviously they are already doing it and that's where you want to be. And you do it, and then you move on to the next coach and the next coach, whoever you want to be the next person. And I would like to say thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for sharing your journey and inspiring so many other women who will be watching this. And anything you would like to say before we close this?
No, thank you for having me today. It's just I've I'm I'm actually just really excited to be doing what I do. You know, it feels good, and I like I just like being myself now, you know, being who I want to be, and it's just it's fun, you know, like I think the experience we go through, we just need to make it fun. And I just recently learned somewhere where we forget to enjoy the process. I think sometimes we get so attached to the end result, we forget that, we need to enjoy this process. Because if we don't enjoy this process, when we get to the end result, we're not really gonna appreciate it as much. So I forgot, her name is Alex. She's a manifesting coach, and she was just sharing, because I buy a lot of programs. So I bought one of her programs, and she was sharing is that a lot of struggles we go through is because we don't enjoy the process. Like, she was sharing something like, we work out, oh, we need to lose this weight, and we need to lose it. And once we lose it, we forget about the process we went through. We're like, we're like, oh yeah, thank God, I don't have to do exercise anymore. I'm at my weight now. But instead, we're like, I'm at my weight now. Hey, I still like to enjoy working out. I still love doing that for myself. And I think that really, these past couple of days has really hit me hard, is because this journey I'm going through of building my business and working out, exploring myself, you need to enjoy this process. Because if you don't enjoy it, once you get to the end result, you're just like, yeah, I'm here now what? So what I'm saying to everyone is just enjoy this. Even though whatever you're going through, it's kind of hard, but enjoy it and feel how you feel right now, because eventually that feeling is going to move on and you're going to be on a different phase. So enjoy it, have fun with it and love it.
Well, thank you very much for that share. That's actually an amazing share, because when you did say that, and at the end, I just had that the moment of thinking of those roller coaster rides, right? People do love to get on the roller coaster ride, even though they're scared of those bumpy ups and downs and spins and all that stuff, but they still want to get onto it, and then they come out from there screaming and happy and all that stuff, right? Enjoyed the process. That is a process that you just went through, and just that it is. Thank you very much for sharing that. So thank you very much for everybody who has been watching with us all the way through live on this Instagram, and thank you. And if you're watching this on replay and you found something very inspiring in this, I would urge you to share this with whoever you want to share this with, because it's our duty to do that if we have found it inspiring. Because we do not know who's woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better day tomorrow or today. And this video might, or this podcast might just change their life or help them, right? So how can people reach out to you for anything they would like to do in the future with you?
Oh, well, definitely reach out to me on Instagram at IamMoneyPower. And my website is still under construction, but you can go check it out. It's at moneypowercoaching.com. And my YouTube channel, Money Power, as well. I'm trying to work on a schedule, posting a once-a-week video on there. But I have videos on there, 2 videos so far, so you can check out there. And that's about it. Wow, I'm mostly on those platforms nowadays.
Well, that's I think that's quite a few more than what I do, because I'm just focused onto my Instagram and Spotify and Apple Podcast, because that's where everybody is tuning in to watch. So thank you very much, and thank you very much everybody who's been listening with us. And I'll return back on next Tuesday with another amazing inspirational person. And Money, we're just going to smile for a few seconds, so that will become a screenshot of the. And thank you very much, and we'll catch you later. Bye.